Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Today we're going to be talking about fat digestion, why you may be having a difficult time breaking down fat. We're going to go into it. And before we do, please smash that like button. Really helps with the search algorithm. And please make sure you put your comments down below. Really love to see what you guys think about the topic. So first off, why is fat difficult to digest? So out of the gate, you have protein digestion starts in the stomach. That's the first area of digestion we have to focus on. That happens in the stomach. It's pH driven. So we have this peptide named gastrin that increases stomach acid. Stomach acid lowers the pH. The pH being nice and low activates a lot of our proteolytic enzymes, a lot of the enzymes that break down protein. So it's very important that we have good pH. It's very important that we activate our enzymes. Enzymes are mostly going to be proteolytic based. But again, those enzymes are very important for stimulating pancreatic output of lipase in the small intestine. Also very important to getting that hydrochloric acid levels down. When those levels go nice and low pH means high acid. So nice high acid levels, low pH, that's going to start that whole digestive process in the stomach. And when those foods start to go into the stomach from the stomach into the small intestine, that's where we start to trigger our gallbladder to start working and producing bile. It's where we start to trigger our pancreas to produce more lipase as well. It'll produce things like different proteases like trypsin and chymotrypsin, but it's going to produce lipase as well, which is an enzyme for breaking down fat. And so fat is just a harder compound, a harder macronutrient to break down. So is protein. It's probably part of the reason why many people go vegan or vegetarian is because they eat animal products, they eat fats and proteins, especially dense saturated fats, and they feel bloated, they feel gassy, and they assume that the meat must be bad for them or that the meat doesn't agree with their body, and they assume that they have to pull that food out. Really, it's revealing a weak digestive link in your physiology chain you have to work on. So I tell patients, well, make sure you're choosing really good fats. If it's oxidized, junky fat, processed, refined vegetable oils, that's a problem, right? So we want to make sure it's not processed, refined vegetable oils, junky X omega-6. Some omega-6 may be fine, some nuts or seeds, some chia seeds, some almond butter. It's all in balance of what your diet looks like as a whole. If it's a small percentage, not really a big deal. But in general, you want to make sure you're getting some good monounsaturated fats from like olive oil or avocado. You want to make sure you're getting some good, those are monounsaturated. So you want to make sure you're getting some good saturated fats from coconut, grass-fed meat, some polys, omega-3 from fish oil, salmon, skipjack tuna. Those kind of things are great. And then, of course, any other saturated fats from like grass-fed beef or any tallows. Epic makes some good like pork tallow, duck tallow. Those are all really good fats. They're not going to get oxidized, right? The oxidation of the fat creates free radicals, makes it rancid. It's going to deplete a lot of your antioxidant reserves. And so we're having really good healthy fats. We got to make sure our hydrochloric acid levels are up. That's the first thing. We got to make sure we're not driving inflammation in our gut from other food allergens. You're consuming gluten, other issues, that could be a problem. You could have bacterial imbalances in the stomach. You could have H. pylori, or other dysbiotic bacteria that have migrated their way from the colon, small intestine up, typical SIBO type of bacteria. You could see it with Klebsiella, Citrobacter, Proteus, Morganella. You wouldn't really know exactly where in the intestinal tract it is. I mean, you could see it with like a glucose breath test, or more specifically, a lactulose breath test in that first 30 minutes or so, or a glucose breath test in that first 30 minutes. That tells you it's probably more stomach based. If you're having lots of burping screams stomach indigestion. So if that's the case, you got to work on acid, got to work on enzymes. You got to work on really making sure the food is moving through the intestinal tract. Food that sits in your stomach too long. Think of like gastroparesis, where the food's just, your like tummy's a little bit paralyzed. It's not releasing those foods. That migrating motor complex is not communicating optimally, and that food is not draining from the stomach downward. We have to definitely work on that and make sure that we have that fully dialed in and rectified, and that you're able to start the digestive process in the stomach well. That then spirals into the small intestine. Good acidity. That acidity triggers the pancreas to make a bunch of bicarbonate to bring the pH back up. That nice acidity before the pH was brought back up also triggers cholecystokinin for good gallbladder release. That is paramount for really helping that good fat digestion. Stomach acid first, bile salts second, lipase, pancreatic enzymes third. And then, of course, making sure that we have good motility. That food is moving from our intestinal tract, well, start of the stomach into the small intestine and throughout the intestinal tract. Of course, there could be other SIBO bacteria, other infections that could be a stressor on that digestive chain. That's where a really good comprehensive stool test, potentially a breath test, a lactulose or a glucose breath test could reveal some of these things. Also, just trying some supplemental hydrochloric acid, trying some enzymes, seeing how you do out of the gate. Again, if you're noticing more flatulence, that tells me more fermentation lower in the intestinal tract, more burping, that tells me more fermentation in the upper intestinal or more in the stomach, if you will. So I hope that makes sense. Hope that resonates with you guys. If you have a problem with protein, a problem with fat, you got to look upstream. Again, there could be beneficial bacteria that's pretty low as well. That has a major effect at breaking down protein and aiding in that sense. So you may have to look a little bit deeper on the protein, or I should say on the beneficial probiotic side of the fence too. That may be helpful. If you want to dive in deeper, I'll put my coordinates down below in the description where you guys can reach out to myself and staff. We're happy to help you guys worldwide on the functional medicine side to kind of dive in and get to the root. Hope you enjoyed today's show. You guys take care. Bye, y'all.